Chapter 9. Laws, Policies and Programs for Women in the Philippines.
But before we start, I'll be advising you to get a hold of your pen and paper and be sure to jot down important details, names, and years that might be handy later on.
Learning Objectives.
At the end of this video reporting, the students should be able to first, name Philippine laws that protect and empower women. Number 2, explain the importance of policies that protect and empower women. And lastly, state the aims of these policies for women and for the society as a whole.
The way the world is structured places certain groups at a disadvantage, especially women, as they have particular rights that are specific to their needs, which includes sexual and reproductive health care, protection against gender-based violence, and the right to non-discrimination in education and in the workplace. The respect for the promotion of these rights are necessary because they help expand women's access to resources and their role in the communities. That's why human rights approach is essential to women's development, since it can serve as means to increase awareness about women, to their condition and particular needs, and once this human right-based development are officially valid and accepted by the states, they can be an effective instrument for enforcing the promotion and the protection of human rights. Laws have been passed responding to these demands, and these are the Universal Declaration of Human Rights on 1948, the Convention on the Elimination of All Forms of Discrimination Against Women, or CEDAW, of 1979, the Beijing Platform for Action, or BIFA, of 1994, the Millennium Development Goals, or MDGs, of 2000, and the Sustainable Development Goals, or SDGs, of 2015. These are among the many documents advocating gender equality and human development that drives the national government to adopt gender mainstreaming, to address gender issues in all aspects of life.
But wait! Before we continue to the topics, I would like to add additional knowledge for your benefit. For you, what do you think is gender mainstreaming? Well, gender mainstreaming is defined as the strategy for making women's as well as men's concerns and experiences an integral dimension of the design, implementation, monitoring, and evaluation of policies and programs in all political, economic, and societal spheres, so that women and men benefit equally and inequality is not perpetuated. It is the process of assessing the implications for women and men of any planned action, including legislation, policies, or programs in all areas and at all levels.
Let's move on. 4 universal laws that had been passed that drives the national government to adapt gender mainstreaming to address gender issues in the Philippines. 1. The Universal Declaration of Human Rights of 1948.
The Universal Declaration of Human Rights of 1948 is a common standard of achievements for all peoples and all nations. Its underlying proposition is to provide all people the same basic human right, regardless of sex and gender. These rights are fundamental human entitlements of a person due to his or her existence as a person that has value and/or because certain entitlements are necessary for one to realize his or her humanity. Therefore, without this right entitlement on individuals, human growth is almost impossible. Through the right-based approach, human rights must be protected and promoted because all humans have the right to life, the right to a nationality, the right to education, the right to livelihood, and many more.
2. The Convention on the Elimination of All Forms of Discrimination Against Women, CEDAW, of 1979.
The Convention on the Elimination of All Forms of Discrimination Against Women, or CEDAW of 1979, or also known as the International Bill of Rights of Women, is the only human rights treaty which affirms the reproductive rights of women and targets culture and tradition as influential forces shaping gender roles and family relations. CEDAW is created by the United Nations Committee to eliminate discrimination, exclusion, or restriction made on the basis of sex, which affects the impairing or nullifying the recognition, enjoyment, or exercise of women irrespective of their marital status. Any state or country that adopts the CEDAW must commit itself to ending discrimination against women. Specifically, a state must work to incorporate the principle of equality of men and women in their legal system, abolish all discriminatory laws and adopt appropriate ones prohibiting discrimination against women, to establish tribunal and other public institutions to ensure the effective protection of women against discrimination, and to ensure elimination of all acts of discrimination against women by persons, organizations, or enterprises. The Magna Carta of Women, or MCW, establishes the Philippine government's pledge of commitment to the CEDAW.
So, what is the Magna Carta of Women, or known as the Republic Act 9710? It's a comprehensive women's human rights law that seeks to eliminate discrimination against women by recognizing, protecting, fulfilling, and promoting the rights of Filipino women, especially those in marginalized sector. It also promotes empowerment of women to pursue equal opportunities for women and men, and ensure equal access to resources and to development results and outcome.
3. The Beijing Platform for Action BFA of 1994.
The Beijing Platform for Action, or BPFA of 1994, emphasizes that women share common concerns that can be addressed only by working together and in partnership with men towards the common goal of gender equality around the world. The BPFA aims for the complete participation of women in all spheres of life through the shared responsibility of men and women at home, in the workplace, and the public sector. It seeks a people-centered sustainable development. The aim of this platform for action was the enactment of policies and programs addressing women concerns within 5 years of its creation in 1995. The BPFA has special consideration for the girl child, indigenous women, women workers, and women who were victims of violence in the armed conflict. It is also focuses on the social media dimension of growth, recognizing the structural adjustments plan had left behind women and had led to a feminization of poverty, the phenomenon in which majority of the world's poor are women. To ensure gender equality, the BPEA formulated the 2 critical areas of concerns that need urgent action. First, the persistent and increasing burden of poverty on women. Second, inequalities and decreases in and unequal access to education and training. Third, inequalities and decreases in and unequal access to healthcare and related services. 4. Violence against women. 5. The effects of armed or other kinds of conflict on women, including those living under foreign occupations. 6. Inequality in economic structures and policies, in all forms of productive activities and in access to resources. 7. Inequality between men and women in the sharing of and decision-making at all levels. 8. Insufficient mechanism at all levels to promote the advancement of women. 9. Lack of respect for the adequate promotion and protection of the human rights of women. 10. Stereotyping of women and inequality in women's access to and participation in all communication systems, especially in the media. 11. Gender inequalities in the management of natural resources and in the safeguarding of environment. And last, persistent and discrimination against and violation of the right of the girl child.
4. The Millennium Development Goals MGs of 2002.
Millennium Development Goals, or MDGs, of 2002. The MDGs are a collection of 8 goals that focuses on major issues of the underprivileged people around the globe. They were drafted by the UN in 2000 as a way to combat the most pressing issues of developing countries. The goals focuses on reducing poverty, hunger, disease, and gender inequality, as well as ensuring access to water and sanitation by 2015. The MDGs promote international commitment to meeting women's needs and women's empowerment. 3 of the 8 law of MDGs focus on education and gender. Goal number 2 is to achieve universal primary education, And goal number 3, to promote gender equality. Goal number 4, to empower women. And goal number 5 is to improve maternal health.
5. The Sustainable Development Goals, CGs of 2015.
The Sustainable Development Goals, or SDGs, of 2015. The new SDGs aim to address the root causes of poverty and inequality in the world today. The SDGs are built from the Millennium Development Goals and aim at continuing the latter's goal and completing the target by 2030. Below is one specific goal concerning gender equality along with its associated targets. SDG 5, achieve gender equality and empower all women and girls. Goal 5 has the following targets: end all forms of discrimination against all women and girls everywhere, eliminate all forms of violence against all women and girls in the public and private spheres, including trafficking and sexual and other types of exploitation, eliminate all harmful practices such as child, early and forced marriage, and female genital mutilation, recognize and value unpaid care and domestic work through the provision of public services, infrastructures, and social protection policies, and the promotion of shared responsibility within the household and the family as nationally appropriate. Ensure women's full and effective participation and equal opportunity for leadership at all levels of decision-making in political, economic, and public life. Ensure universal access to sexual and reproductive health and reproductive rights as agreed in accordance with the Program of Action of the International Conference on Population and Development and the Beijing Platform for Action as the outcome documents of their review conferences. Undertake reforms to give women equal rights to economic resources as well as access to ownership and control over land and other forms of property, financial, services, inheritance, and natural resources in accordance with the national laws. Enhance the use of enabling technology, particular information and communication technology, to promote the empowerment of women. Adapt and strengthen the sound policies and enforceable legislation for the promotion of gender equality and the empowerment of all women and girls at all levels. Gender-specific targets of SDGs include the end of all forms of discrimination against all women and girls everywhere.
Laws and policies defending women's rights in the Philippines started during the post-martial law era, and when you can recall, that was the time where Filipino women joined the popular resistance against the late President Marcos' dictatorial rule, which is the People Power Revolution, also known as the EDSA Revolution. By this time, more and more women had become politicized. Quite a good number of women even joined ideologic groups, while others became combatants of the rebel movements. That was also the time where Filipinos voted and supported our very first women president in the Philippines, which is the late President Corazon Aquino, that has been a great example and inspiration to all women raised. That's why the current laws protecting Filipino women's rights are a testament to our foremothers' determination to fight for gender equality, which proves that women plays a vital role in nation building, and our inclusion are key towards equality and the development of our nation. Women's rights are mandated by the Philippine Constitution.
Additional knowledge. The Philippine Constitution is the fundamental law of the land in the Philippines. It establishes the structure, policies, and roles and duties of the Philippines government. It contains the Bill of Rights, or the Article 3, and sets out the state's obligations to promote and uphold social justice and human rights, or the Article 8. It specifies the powers of limitation of power of the government, as well as the right and privileges of citizens that cannot be affected by the government. Also, it specifies how citizens are allowed to participate in democratic decision-making processes that determines public policies.
Laws and policies for women in the Philippines.
So, Women in Development and National Building Act, Republic Act 7192, the intent of this act is to promote the integration of women as full and equal partners with men in development and national nation building, where women should enjoy equal access to membership in all social, civic, and recreational clubs, committees, associations, and similar other organizations devoted to public purpose. They shall be entitled to the same rights and privileges accorded to their spouses, and they belong to the same organization. These act as the then National Commissions of the Role of Filipino Women, now the Philippine Commission of Women or PCW, to provide assistance in ensuring the formulation and nationwide implementation of gender-responsive government policies, programs, and projects in the Philippines.
Additional knowledge. The Philippine Commission on Women, formerly the National Commission on the Role of the Filipino Women, is a government agency run by the government of the Philippines with the intention of promoting and protecting the rights of the women in the Philippines. The functions of the Commission include the institution of gender responsiveness in national government plans by preparing, assessing, and updating the National Plan for Women, and by ensuring its implementation and monitoring its performance among the government agencies it is involved with. It also undertakes the advocacy of promoting economic, social, and political empowerment of women by providing technical assistance in the strengthening of mechanisms on gender mainstreaming. Aside from this, the Commission ensures contributions by Filipino women to Philippine culture and traditions be preserved and enhanced in the process of modernization.
The national government then aimed to adopt gender mainstreaming to address gender issues in all aspects of life. They had implemented plans like the Philippine Development Plan for Women or PDPW 1989 to 1982, which was approved and adopted on February 17, 1989 through Executive Order 348. It specifically identifies programs and projects to address the following forms of violence against women: domestic violence, rape, sexual harassment, pornography, white slavery or prostitutions, military rapes and sexual abuse, and medical abuse including unnecessary abortion and cesareans. The Philippines Plan for Gender-Responsive Development, this 30-year perspective plan from 1995 to 2025 covers the following domains: the individual, the family, as well as socio-cultural, economic, political, and legal issues. The PPGD considers gender and development mainstreaming a priority concern and seek to achieve gender equity in all public programs and policies. It was created to integrate a gender-responsive framework within development plans, policies, budgets, and programs under the Philippine government like PBFA. It also pays special attention to women in difficult circumstances by analyzing national policies and programs that affect these women.
And as this two plans had become a success, the Philippine government then produced two recent publications on gender mainstreaming, which are 1. The Harmonized Gender and Development Guidelines of 2010. It's a tool co-developed by the National Economic and Development Authority NADA, PQ, and the Official Development Assistance Gender and Development Network. That is used to ensure that programs and projects undertaken by the government in various stages are set to be gender responsive that can ensure gender equality and women's empowerment results in programs and projects. 2. The Women's Empowerment, Development and Gender Equality EDGE Plan of 2013 to 2016. This plan is published by the PQ that addresses previous gaps in the PDWEPU and PPGD, as this plan identifies strategic gender issues in agriculture, fisheries, and forestry like women's limited access to and control over resources, women's limited participation and representation in decision-making. As this plan promotes improvement in nutrition and food security, seeks to make agriculture and fisheries more productive and sustainable, promotes to reduce rural poverty, seeks to enable more inclusive and efficient agricultural and food systems, seeks to increase the resilience of livelihoods to disaster. This plan is by far the most nationwide multi-sectoral policy document. The government has enacted numerous laws to protect Philippine women from gender-specific forms of discrimination and violence, which drives policymakers to continuously file women-specific bills as exemplified by a women Senator Ms. Risa Hontiveros last November 22, 2016. 3 bills to combat sexual harassment and violence against women are filed by Senator Hontiveros, called the Tres Marias Bills. These include to strengthening the following laws.
The Anti-Rape Act or Senate Bill number 1252. These laws seek to amend and modernize current anti-rape laws. It aims to emphasize the absence of consent as the essential element of the crime of rape, over evidence of physical resistance and external injuries. The bill also seeks to increase the age of statutory rape to 18 years old from the current age of 12 years old. The Anti-Sexual Harassment Bill or Senate Bill number 1250 aims to amend current legislations with the inclusion of sexual harassment between peers and those committed to a superior officer by a subordinate or to teacher by a student or a trainer by a trainee. The Gender-Based Electronic Violence or Senate Bill number 1251, which seek to penalize those responsible for misogynistic and homophobic attacks on social media. The offenses listed in the bills include harassing or threatening the victims through text messaging, posts in social media sites, or other cyber, electronic, and multimedia means.
This bill were made as there are many gaps in the current laws that seeks to further protect women, and by the help of this bill it will boost existing laws that will help address the culture of violence against women, such as the legitimized abuse of women who choose to make a stand. That's why all government departments, bureaus, offices, agencies, as well affiliates or government-controlled corporations are required is to formulate and realize a gender and development GAD plan of action that would incorporate gender perspectives in their institutional frameworks. Because the GAD approach seeks to analyze the causes of gender inequality within the context of relations between women and men and social structure, to change stereotyped division of labor, as well as institutions and systems that bring about gender disparity, which can promote women's empowerment, that ensures their full participation that is essential for the society and nation building. Thanks for watching.